Dr. Zagrevich, 5907 is my number. Ryan's Timothy, that's me.
Okay, everyone, we're streaming live, and let me just hit record, and then Mr. Chairman, begin. 1 second.
Thank you. Why don't we start this meeting? It's 10:01. Why don't we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
and
to
to
the
the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we start talking to the department heads, I'm going to ask my colleagues if they have any comments they want to make. My Board of Selectmen colleagues? Nope.
I didn't
I'll
know
ask
if, Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
I didn't know if we wanted to take the agenda item with the residents out of order and then go to the department head business so that they don't have to sit through the department head meeting.
Is that in the form of a motion?
Yes. I move that we take agenda item 4 out of order. I believe it's 4. I don't have it in front of me.
It is 4. Is there a second? I'll step down and second that. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose? Abstention? The ayes have it. The agenda item is to discuss and act on planned demonstration at Town Hall. Madam Administrator, did we get a request to get a permit?
Did just grabbing it. I got it in the evening last night. So
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hey, I'm on a
I can hear you, yes.
live meeting. I have to
Oh,
call
I'm
you
sorry.
back,
I'm
okay?
sorry. We did receive a
Department
request
heads.
from
Bye-bye.
I apologize for saying your name wrong. She's here with us this evening to utilize the front yard, I guess, of Town Hall, the grassy area along 138. Due to our bylaws, there is a requirement of a written permit from the Board of Selectmen. The language is pretty vague, but it does say congregating is the actual term in it. It's Article 7, Section 10, for those following along. And it has a whole list of uses of the property, and it says congregating, and that's what this would be. It also says anybody making speeches or public addresses cannot do this without a written permit from the Board of Selectmen. So that is why it is here before you today.
Okay, thank you. I would like the petitioner, I believe, Lindsay, you're here. You want to
Yes, we're
explain
both
to?
here.
Yes, could you explain to us what you're seeking?
So like the town administrator said, just the use of the grassy area and the sidewalk in front of Town Hall for a peaceful, family-friendly rally. Basically, we'll just be holding signs that promote peace, unity, empathy. I haven't officially invited Chief McGay, but I think Brett has. I did speak with an officer and extended an invite to him. I'm not sure if he conveyed that to the rest of the department or not. But the message is just unity, peace. There's
an awareness of social injustice.
Thank you. Do my colleagues on the board have any comments? Want to speak about this?
I mean, I'm in favor of the permit. I just had one thing about the actual bylaw. I don't know if now is the time to ask about it. I just think maybe going forward, I know there's the bylaw review committee, but some of these bylaws seem a bit outdated, and the fact that congregating isn't defined. I mean, you could make an argument that two people walking together is a congregating. So do those people need a permit? So I think we need a committee or this board, or I don't know, over the next, few months, maybe we could look at some of these going forward.
I agree. I think we have to deal with the bylaw as it is right now, but I agree that we should take a
Yeah,
look at it and
Absolutely.
possibly change it. Mrs. Goulart, do you have any questions or any concerns?
Yes, I do. Excuse me. I certainly support the right of public assembly. My concerns really relate to everything that's happened across the country. I'm very concerned about injury to town employees and any mutual aid we may have. I'm concerned about damage to town property. I'm concerned that a very good, well thought out event really express the concerns could be overtaken by people who aren't residents of this community and could bring harm and damage. I really think the town of Dayton and its residents should come up with a method to show leadership as opposed to following the crowd. I think we have an opportunity to do something that's maybe will last a little longer than just a rally. I was thinking along the lines of a signature board that could be put in a public place such as the pavilion, where residents could go in and there would be something across the top indicating what it's about. Residents could sign, they could leave messages. This would be in the pavilion, and it would be low enough that even children, if their parents chose, could make a comment. I'm very concerned that we shut down with a cease and desist order, a legitimate business, because we had concerns about people coming in from the outside and the effects of coronavirus. Coronavirus has not gone away. And yet we did what we had to do to protect the people of Dayton. And that's my main concern. I think under permit bylaw as it currently exists, if that's what we want to call it, we've waived permit fees in the past for charitable groups. We've required liability insurance to protect the town. I think that's a big expense. And I'm thinking that if we go with something that's more permanent, whether it's a message board or something else, we have a PR firm that could get the message out. This is what the people in Dayton did. This is how the people of Dayton expressed their concerns about what happened in Minneapolis, about racial injustice. I also want to point out, I don't know how well known it is, but certainly there is not only racial prejudice, but in our own communities. In this community in particular, we have seen swastikas. I know that hasn't been publicized, but you know what? That's another kind of discrimination that I personally abhor. And I just want to close this with just a statement. Dr. Johnson, who is the chancellor of UMass Dartmouth, sent out a lengthy message today. And I'm just going to read the last paragraph and paraphrasing it basically. Dr. Johnson says, most importantly, let us begin by first acknowledging the reality of racism in our community. Ensure that our town, he used the word campus, in our town is a place where everyone is welcome and treated as first-class citizens and not marginalized simply because of the color of their skin. As a community, encourage everyone to strike down racism and bigotry in both public and private domains. When we can heed the words of Edmund Burke, quote, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men, and he added, and women, to do nothing. Then we can breathe again. I think that statement is very all-inclusive. I think if Dayton can find a way to express its concerns about what has happened in a way that will not endanger town employees or invite outside people who come here with the intent of disrupting a peaceful assembly, I think is a better route to go.
Well, we're addressing the question regarding the permit But I do support you, Mrs. Goulart, on putting a bulletin board at the pavilion, and maybe that's something we can look forward to. I support the First Amendment. I support the right for people to assemble. The town of Easton, my daughter lives in the town of Easton. They had a demonstration very recently. It was peaceful. They had a demonstration in Fall River. It was peaceful. My understanding, this demonstration is to begin at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 to 12, which is a very good time to have such a demonstration. It doesn't go into the evening. Daytonians aren't going to get violent. I don't anticipate anybody else getting violent. This is a peaceful demonstration, and it's to show our support for the Black community, the minority community, for what's been done to them over the last 400 years in this country. So I'm in full support of it. I'm going to ask before we have Ms. Asa speak on this, I'm going to ask if any department heads have any comments or anything they want to say about this.
Yes, Chairman. Chief McDonald, good morning, everybody.
Hi, Chief.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Chief.
First, the thing that's going to take place here Saturday in town, and also Taunton's having theirs today. I had a staff meeting this morning with my guys. We went over a lot of things about our hours on Saturday. I actually have in Taunton, I have our officers going up there. Taunton has asked for surrounding towns. These guys won't be in front line. They'll be there to answer calls if Taunton needs assistance. Anything what they need, my guys will be there. Not all of them. I did a chart on who I thought was going to go today, who will be there tonight. For Saturday and ours, this is the most important one. Sat with them. We have a plan for Saturday. The town hall, the old town hall, the Veterans Memorial. This will all be protected. I don't anticipate any problems here. I think this is going to be a good rally. But I'm here and our department's here to make sure everybody is safe and everybody does the right thing. I've got calls from Orchard, the trustee over there, the gentleman who's the trustee, head trustee. I haven't called him back. He called me late last night, so I'm going to call him right after this meeting, talk to him about it. Several other people have called here talking to me about it, and I spoke to them, and they seem very, very, happy and safe that what we're going to do, and we should be good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Also,
Anybody else?
one
Yes.
more thing, Chairman, I'm sorry. Also, I've told for Friday, the 4 to midnight shift and the midnight to 8 shift, just check the grounds, make sure there doesn't look like anything out of the ordinary. Like you said, this is going to be a peaceful thing, but you don't know from the outside who's coming in here. We can't predict that. We don't know. I don't think this will happen. I think this will be a good thing here, and I know it's going to be a good thing. And this is what I've told these guys what to do. I did sit with the fire chief also, Chief McGee, and he's going to be there for us. So whatever he needs, he'll be there. So if anybody needs anything, please call me.
Thank you, Chief.
We appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief.
To my
Any other
colleagues,
department head?
how do we justify this when we shut down a business?
Can I answer that, please? I wasn't going to answer it, but it was asked again. Yes. So
Dr. Z?
I'm no constitutional lawyer, but what you're equating, Selectman Goulart, is a business's operation to the right to free speech and the right to assemble. Again, not a constitutional lawyer, but to me, that's a false equivalency. I'm not sure of any amendment in the Constitution that states that a business has can operate without any type of restriction. So
We shut it down because of the coronavirus.
that was
So
also 2 months ago.
how will we address keeping everybody safe from the virus?
Everyone is required to have masks at this event and to social distance. That's why we went from the sidewalk to the grass.
Yep, that's correct.
I also will have
That's why
hand
we didn't
sanitizer
request
as
the
well.
permit right away. Sorry, I just wanted to say, Lindsay, that's why the permit wasn't requested right away. We didn't know how many, or I should say Lindsay didn't know how many
Right.
people would show up. And so once I think she saw how many people were requesting to come, then it was apparent that the sidewalks weren't going to be sufficient.
I also
Thank
want to
you.
say that I will have hand sanitizer as well at the event. I have also some people bringing trash bags so that we will make sure to have everything cleaned up and looking the same as we arrived.
And you got some,
Thank you.
I know I got a mask donation that I plan to bring with me. And I think you, Lindsay, also got a separate mask.
Yes,
This is
some
for people who show
disposable
up with
masks.
no masks.
That's correct.
Are there any other department heads that wish to speak? Todd? Put your microphone on. Yep.
On Board of Health, I just wanted to reiterate what's already been said is, yes, masks are required and social distancing is required. I believe the earlier statement about it's like businesses, certain businesses can't open. Like, for example, you can't have an outdoor yoga class outside on the grass. That's not allowed if it's 12 people. But yet a gathering is, it seems like certain things like a yoga class should be allowed to happen also. And I think that's where he was going with it. It shouldn't happen, but other things should be allowed to happen. But I'm in favor of your rights, and just do what you can. I know you're not gonna be able to walk around and tell everybody, hey, separate, and different people are coming together. And if two people are standing together, it's not up to you to go up to them and say, hey, you need to separate. So that's all.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hi, Ken. It's Sue. How are you?
Nice.
Hi, Madam Clerk.
How are you? I just to comment that, as everybody knows, our election is on Saturday. Mallory did get a couple calls on a couple concerns that she handled very nicely. I don't foresee any issues whatsoever at the election. We always have a couple police officers there anyways. That's always been the protocol. I think it's going to be great. Hope a lot of people come out to vote. And wish I could be there with you guys at the town hall, but unfortunately I have a job to do at the election. So I think we're going to be fine at the election. No issues whatsoever.
Thank you,
I
Madam
just
Clerk.
wanted to say something about that
Lindsay?
as well. Yes,
Lindsay?
I have made an announcement in the group or the events page to remind everybody that it is an election day, to make sure to go and exercise the right to vote before or after the event. And I will also make an announcement at the event just to make sure that it won't impede on the election process.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to make a comment regarding this?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, Tim Ryan, Spark and Rec. First off, I'd like to thank the Owusu family for putting this peaceful protest together. No human on this planet needed to suffer the way that man died, okay? So I fully understand and fully back what is going on with the peaceful protest in front of Town Hall. It is our right under the Constitution to protest peacefully and to assemble. Good luck, and everyone, please stay safe, keep your social distance. I have to work the transfer station. If I were not working the transfer station, I would certainly be there in person.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Mr.
Mr.
Ryan.
Chairman.
Anybody else? Anybody else? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mr. Motion, excuse me. Mr.
Nice, Brett.
Early in the morning. I make a motion that we grant the permit request for the rally to Lindsay Usta for Saturday, June 6th from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Is there a second? If not, I will step down and second that motion. Any further discussion?
Is there an insurance requirement?
I'm not sure that that's something.
Well, it
that-
goes along with the permit. I would assume we're going to vote on the permit fee because we've done that in the past and we've waived it, but we've never waived insurance.
I was just going to mention that our policy for the right to use a field or something lists specific properties or areas that we do, I guess, rent out for a fee and require insurance costs. I call it the front yard for lack of a better term, but the grassy area in front of us, we don't, that's not listed there. And then there's no mention of a fee or the bylaw is quite vague, as has already been discussed. So there's no mention of anything. This would be something you'd have to put in place. I'm sorry, I know it's not a good answer.
Well, for that policy, isn't that for like reservation?
And for exclusive use of the field, right?
This isn't like a park.
Right.
It's just grass. So I don't know if this.
So are we talking about the area where the sidewalk is and west of the stone wall?
Yes. I'm not good with north, south, east, west, Nancy.
Well, the stone wall runs north-south in front of Town Hall. And west of the stone wall, there's some grass and there's a sidewalk. So is it the grass and sidewalk west of the stone wall that we're talking about?
I believe so.
Yep. Right in front of Town Hall.
Okay. Any further discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose?
No.
The ayes have it. Thank you. It's passed.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to go back to the, thank you. We're going to go back to the schedule, the agenda. I'm going to hear reports from the department heads. It's been a, thank you, Ms. Asa.
Thank
I'll hear
you.
Thank you. I'll hear reports from each department head. Since I can't see you all, maybe, yeah, Ms. Aristine?
I'm sorry, I was just gonna ask, I don't know where Todd went, he's off screen, but Todd has some things to say for the Board of Health item. So would it be possible if he could go first? Tom, I don't know if you want to flag him down or
Sure.
fill in for him.
Yes, I'm okay with that.
Thank you.
I can do that. I'm in the middle of another meeting right now. I can do that. But
Sorry, Todd. Thank you.
No, hang on.
Thank you, Todd.
All right, we got people at the counter, people on the phone, and yeah. So,
We like to give you a challenge.
Yeah, it's a thriving department.
what's the question?
No, I wanted, I had asked if you could have the floor to give a bit of an update on what we talked about yesterday.
All right, thank you.
Regarding opening town hall?
Right, you had said you were gonna, there were a list of things for you to mention today. Did I get this wrong?
No, I do have a bunch of things,
Oh.
but we didn't talk about them all yesterday
Oh,
necessarily.
that's all right. Your bunch of things.
All
Proceed.
right, so in no particular order, we're going to mention the opening town hall. That obviously we've got to work towards picking a date to open. Obviously, we had to have every protocol in place, such as the shields and sanitizers and all that, so the workers would be protected before we open to the public. Employees are in town hall now, and they honestly, at our office, we've had to open because we're dealing with trash, which is an essential service. We're selling the bulky bags this week. And so we're open and it seems to be working out fine. We're calling everybody in advance, or that when they call in, we say have a check ready so we can just do a quick swap. Everybody's coming in and being very respectful. We're having no issue. So, but we need to pick a date for town hall. In my opinion, offices were allowed to open as of Memorial Day, so we can open anytime we want, but that's open for discussion. That may not be for department head, but.
Just to piggyback on that, the selectmen will be discussing this on their 6/10 meeting, their June 10th meeting. And I have some emails from other towns telling me if they're open for staff only or of the public. And those are coming in today. So I'll have some information for you. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Next item is the graduation for Bristol County Agricultural High School. They're looking to do Sunday, July 19th, and they are looking to use the field behind Town Hall and bleachers. We also have a graduation for DR that's going to be at their football field. I've been talking with principals to iron out a lot of their details and such, and we are working on that. But I know they've submitted a request to use the field, and obviously it's similar to what we just talked about social distancing and all the rest. There's going to be a lot of protocols that are going to have to be in place, so they're probably going to have to limit how many people can show up for each kid and all that kind of thing. But we're working towards that. That's July 19th. We got plenty of time to sort out the details. And I think
I'm sorry,
3 also.
Sorry, Todd, could you repeat that date again, please, for the agricultural school?
July 19th. It's a Sunday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Do we have a date for DR?
We do.
August 1st.
1st, thank you.
Thank you.
Again, that's DRs is going to happen at the football field like it always does. So, and again, by then we should be in phase 3, which will be a different set of rules. So, which brings me to one of the.
So, continue. Todd, I thought you were done.
No, not by a long shot. So, which brings me to part of phase 2 is outdoor dining is now allowed, and obviously we got to talk about if any restaurants want to do that, how we're going to make that happen. But one of the caveats that's going with it is they're allowed to have tents outside, but the tent can only have 50% of the walls on it. It can have the top, but only 50% walls. Obviously, if we want to have a town meeting with a tent, that's not allowed right now. But if they're starting to allow restaurants with tents with walls, I think they're going to allow tents with 50% walls, maybe for such things as graduations or town meetings or something like that. That's just my personal opinion on what might be coming down the trail here. So, but yes, outdoor dining is a possibility. It's only for phase 2, because phase 2.5 they'll be allowed inside dining. Obviously, we'll be working with all the restaurants to make sure they're following all the rules and doing all that. But as of right now, we've only had a couple restaurants, I think, that reached what they want to do outdoor dining. So,
Thank you.
I mean, I got more stuff, but we'll pause there in case anybody wants to weigh in.
I only wanted to say, just for the public's benefit, that the building department, the health department, and the board of selectmen through Karen, we are working on kind of getting all of these guidelines and requirements that we would have in place for our restaurants to open up and serve outside, and that's coming just in case anybody wanted to know that. Anybody who might be interested in following along.
May I ask a question about that?
Yes.
So is Alice's the only restaurant in town that has that outdoor part? I don't think 1712 does. I'm just wondering who's going to get this brochure.
So the guidelines are that you can sort of transform some of your parking lot into
okay.
seating, but
Yep.
that some safety protocols that need to go in place. So restaurants are given some options, and then it will also come before you, the Board of Selectmen, because now they need to alter the premises of if they serve alcohol on premise, and their common vic licenses to include outdoor seating. But Jim Aguirre did mention that he didn't see problem with it with our current bylaws, and that we're going to go forward and work on some of our own particular guidance for our restaurants and businesses.
Sure. Mr. Pilling? One last question. Have you heard anything about when indoor dining might resume? Or is that just being discussed and nothing has been?
Nope, they're saying that's going to be phase 2.5 essentially. So using my crystal ball here, phase 2 is going to start probably either June 8th or June 15th. And phase 3 would be right after the 4th of July, the 6th of July.
Okay.
So I think the indoor dining might be 2 weeks after they start the outdoor dining. So that's why some restaurants may not want to go through all the effort for the outdoor dining when inside would be allowed. Now, right now under offices, we're at a 25% capacity. When they go to restaurants, there is no capacity limit. It is only based on how much separation. If you have a booth and you run the partition right to the ceiling, or actually it only has to go up a couple feet. If you have partitions between the booths, you can use every booth. If you have tables and chairs, the chairs have to be 6 feet apart from each other. So a restaurant might still be at 100% capacity when this is all said and done. I doubt anybody's going to be at 100, but in theory, it's about how much they can fit, not about a limit. So.
Thank you.
Anything else, Todd?
Well, Corona obviously has been wearing us down over here. We've been having conversations almost daily with different businesses in town, with the schools. We got graduation, we've got senior parades. Obviously, we've been talking to the chiefs about this stuff too, and obviously Mallory's been dragged into it too, and it's just been wearing us down. But we also have bulky item pickup next week, which I want to thank those of you, which includes those putting it out on social media, and the highway department has been dragging the sign around for us. Last year, we had $1,100 in sales. We're up over $2,100 in sales already this year. Yesterday, we sold 145 tags. We're at 40 tags already today. It's a huge interruption to our day, but it's obviously good to have people disposing of the stuff properly instead of dumping it on the side of the road. So we're very happy with the word getting out and the word getting spread. So.
Todd,
Oh, yep.
yeah, regarding the tags, can we go to town hall to get those tags? How are we getting the tags?
Board of Health office. So people call, they tell us what they want. So you say a mattress, a TV, a box spring, whatever. We say it's this amount of money. Have the check written out ahead of time to town of Dayton. Come into the office. We'll have the tags ready. We just do a quick exchange and out the door they go. While they're here, we're promoting the pink bag program to them in code red. And a lot of people are taking the bags and that. So obviously we're trying to promote that also.
Good, thank you.
Todd,
Anything else?
Todd,
Yes.
has Nana's been open for takeout? And what about Almeida's? I thought we gave them a license, but nothing seems to be happening. So what about Nana's?
The light got run out. The light went out. That's good.
Nana's, Almeida's is closed. Nobody's approached us about reopening. Nana's, I'm not sure. I think for a while they were doing takeout, but I haven't checked on that. We're currently doing inspections on restaurants because we're not supposed to be going into places right now if we can avoid it. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We do have our household hazardous waste day, which is next Saturday. Obviously, the flashing sign is now reflecting that. Thank you, Tom. And we're going to be moving it around town to try and, again, cast a better web for catching more fish. And we're hoping that will be a success also. Oh, there are some restrictions that the company has put on. For example, when you pull in with your car, they have to be open, just pop the trunk or the SUV hatchback. They don't want to be going in people's back seats or front seats to get anything out. So we're going to have somebody at the gate, one of our employees, that's going to tell people, get out of your car, switch it all to your trunks. When you pull up to the hazardous waste company, they can just pop your trunk, leave the trunk open when you drive up and just take it out. They're asking that you wear masks. If you bring something like in a gas can, they're not going to pour the gas out. They're going to take the container and not give it back to you. They don't want to be doing a lot of transferring. They're just taking stuff and stuff.
Are there any fees involved with hazardous waste disposal?
I don't
Todd,
know if you could hear that. Tom Pyre says he's going to be the person at the gate handing out instructions, telling people what to do and where to go. So.
are there any fees involved with disposal of hazardous waste to the people that bring it in?
0 fees. The Board of Health is paying the cost of the disposal in the day. There's no cost to residents.
Okay.
Todd, I have
Thank
one
you.
question about the bulky item pickup.
Sure.
And I apologize if I missed this. Is it Borges Trucking that does the bulky item pickup? Okay, so this is done separately. Okay, that answers my question.
So our DPW employees, again, thank you, Tom. They go around on the trash day and they pick up the items, only the items that have the tags on them.
Mm-hmm.
They bring them up. Tom, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but they bring them to the transfer station, throw them into the right bin that they belong in, and then Borges would be hauling it from there.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
If that
Is that it, Tom?
No?
Yep.
So the only other thing I want to mention is the animal control officer. Now that we're, she's in a different location and such, we're talking about at the police station, possibly having a computer there. I'm wondering if there's some way that we can't get her access to the town clerk list of dog licenses so that she can access that quickly over the weekends and Fridays when town hall's closed, so she can get these dogs back to people instead of having them. But that's
simple. I think I just interrupted somebody. I'm sorry. That's a very simple thing. As long, we can create a shared folder on our server, and she can access it as long as she has her login information. It can be a Google Doc. It can be shared. I thought we had discussed this a while ago, but I'll follow up with that too. I don't know if Stacy's on this call. I don't see her number, but that's fine. That's a need. I think that's been a problem all along of making sure she has an updated list over the weekend. So Yeah, I think that's a reasonable request.
That's all I have for now, unless anybody's got specific questions to the Board of Health. I did my training the other day. Thank you, Mallory, for asking me to do that. And for those of you who enjoyed that riveting instructional video about how to do social distancing at the office.
So that video, just so everyone knows where it is, it's on the COVID-19 alert. Like if you click read more on our website in that alert, you'll get the video recording and you'll get the training documents that we listed. It's resources from all over the country, really. Really, this is a lot of states sharing different things. So that's there for all employees. And if anybody of the public wants to see what we did, that's also there for your ability to look at and review. We are required to do that as part of our reopening procedure. I tried to email that to you, and because it was too big, it got kicked back. So if you did end up getting multiple emails from me, I apologize. But it's on the website for you to look at if you didn't get those emails.
Okay.
I have
Yes.
just a request. Sorry, I have a request to hear from Tim Rhines or a member of the planning board. The planning board practiced, I guess, a public hearing where we were using social distancing and only allowing certain members of the public to come in. Mr. Rhines, if you are comfortable sharing the experience, that was last night. Or Mr. Pyer.
Yes, absolutely, Madam. Yes, absolutely, Madam Administrator. Thank you for that. Yes, we held that meeting last night. Cable TV was also there and present. I had a member present. Our office manager, Mrs. Easterday, was also there, and we had enough room to separate and social distance within the building. We had call-ins if anyone would like to speak on the topic. Also, there was availability also to walk into the building. Now, here's the thing. Now, if you're using the upstairs at the old town hall, it is scheduled for 10 people or less. You must social distance. So what we would do, what would happen if somebody came in and had been over the amount that we had in the room, we would ask a few people to leave, let those residents come in and hear those residents speak at the meeting. And last night we had no physical public input last night, but it went very well. It was coordinated very well. Thank you to the Board of Health for letting us know what the capabilities were in that building and also the capacity. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Were you also streaming live somewhere or through Zoom or something that people would?
Yes, yeah, yes, we were. Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, we were streaming live. We were on, and it was also, of course, taped and recorded for Channel 9 Access and also on YouTube. But we were also streaming live. It went very well. We had a little few computer glitches in the beginning where the cable had to get things coordinated and synchronized, and everything went well after that. So thank you, Madam Administrator. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
So, I want Jonathan here, Jonathan Gray of the ZBA, and so I had, Jonathan needs to post his public hearing today. So I wanted to, Jonathan, do you have any questions about that? Or if you want to get in touch with Kerry or Tim or Tom, just to hash out if you're going to hold the ZBA public hearing like in this manner.
Yeah, I just got a quick question for Mr. Rhines, and that is just the audio for the meeting itself. Was that at all an issue last night? I mean, I think I know that the old town hall does not have a dedicated line for cable. So is that going to be an issue in terms of if someone wants to watch the meeting after the fact, is it going to be difficult for them to listen in?
No, Mr. Gray, it should not be. Last night, cable did mention that they do not have the hardwire capacity to have the volume go out to people, but we had it figured out where we had used a few computers and locked in also through Zoom and through what head cable had done. So it worked out very well. I don't know if that answers your question, Mr. Gray.
Yeah, I think so.
I mean, their video.
Yeah, and I want to say, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say this. Mr. Gray had helped us about a month ago to host a meeting, to have public input and that type of thing where people could type in or they could be seen. And that also went very well. And thank you, Mr. Gray, for helping us along with that and showing our office manager how to work that. That was great. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Just reciprocal for Kerry's help with the ZBA, of course.
Okay, so I'd like to go through all the department heads that can give us an update. We haven't really had an update in a few months in your department. I can't see everybody, but I'm going to start off with Chief McGee, if that's okay.
Sure. Fire department's doing well. We're surviving coronavirus. A lot of calls, runs are up. But take them one by one. We decon the stations, decon in the ambulances all the time. Obviously with Saturday, we're not gonna be present because there's a lot of things going on around us also that we could end up being mutual aid to. So to tie up apparatus or personnel, I don't feel is in the best interest. But we're definitely available and a resource if needed, if something happens, or if any resource is needed from my department. Other than that, it's just business as usual.
Thank you, Chief. Chris Laviette?
Question for Chief McGee.
Yes, Mrs. Goulart, yes.
Chief, the ambulance runs that you've had, have there been many that were, let's say, urgent corona cases, or are they the usual kinds of urgent medical non-virus cases that you would transport?
We haven't had a ton that we are aware of that are definite corona cases, maybe a few. But really when we're transporting, we don't know. We're treating everybody like they have corona, just out of our protection. But the confirmed cases aren't, it's probably a handful, 5 or 6 that we know of right now.
So the cases that come in, the 911 calls are, I need an ambulance, somebody's got chest pains, or somebody slipped and fell. The routine stuff, I'll call it.
Correct.
Okay.
Thank you. Chris Laviette, do you have any comments?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah. So as we're approaching the end of the fiscal year, naturally, budget monitoring is critical to the operation for a proper closing of the books. I've identified departmental budgets that need some review by the department heads in the event that they feel that they may have some issues and may require a transfer, either a year-end transfer or a reserve fund transfer from the finance committee. I've identified potential funding sources within the budget to take care of any of those year-end transfers. But I plead with the department heads to look at salaries and look at expenses in the aggregate, not just individual line items. We don't have to cover an individual line item. It's just it's a bottom line salary and bottom line expense budget. There are forms for your year-end transfer requests available on the accounting page on the town's website. I've been monitoring revenue right now. There was some concern as to whether or not we would make revenue estimates for fiscal 20. I'm happy to report that revenue as it stands right now is in excess of budget, which is a good thing. I have no prediction for fiscal 21 right now as to where revenue is going to go. Your real estate revenue is going to be completely dependent on whether the residents have the ability to pay their real estate taxes on time. Local receipts are generally impacted by motor vehicle excise tax receipts, as well as building permits and other similar permits. Again, with the economy not knowing where it's going, whether we'll be able to recover quickly or this is going to be a long time. Hard to say right now. And we also don't know about the state. I mean, I know the state's giving a lot of very dire news about the future, but it still remains to be seen whether any of it comes to fruition right now. But other than that, no, I have nothing. Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. I do have a year-end memo that Jen has passed around in the past, informing everybody of when cutoff is going to be for June 30th. I'll have that memo out to everyone next week. And that's all I have to say at this time right now.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Mr. Chairman?
John? Yes, Mr. Goulart.
I just want to commend Chris for all of the up-to-date information he's been providing to the board relative to approaching the end of the year and really staying on top of revenue. It's really great to be able to have that info. Good job, Chris. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Just doing my job.
Thank you, Chris. Jocelyn, are you here? I can't see you, but are you here?
I'm here.
Okay. Any updates for us?
Yeah. We have soft opening of curbside service this week. So basically, we've just contacted people on the hold shelf who haven't had their stuff for months, and a few of our regulars who are in like all the time. That's gone fairly well. We're starting to take returns in the book drop and just doing a few to see how things are working. And other than that, just working on a grant and trying to finish the strategic plan, as you know.
Yeah.
Just
thank you. Okay, thank you, Jocelyn. Is Alice here? Alice?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yes, I am. Well, we're still closed. Prime time's closed until further notice, but we've been calling our clients on a weekly basis practically, and most of them are anxious to come back. I had a call here this morning from one of them, and she wanted to know when we were coming back, and I said I think she understood, and she said she did, but they want to get back here, and we understand it, why they can't. We had a board meeting yesterday, and the board made a decision to move my office, not the whole thing, but some of our main things, Bella and my personal things that we need, to prime time, so that we'll be working out of prime time as soon as we can get moved, and Tommy will be able to do that with his men probably sometime next week. We'll still have problems with telephones and that kind of thing, because when the same telephones that are up North Dayton are not the same phones that we have here. But I think we can work it out. We'll be able to work it out very well for the month of June, because we all have vacations. And Sheila's on vacation next week. I'm on the vacation the following week, and Bella's on the week after that. So we really won't always be here together, and it'll be time for us to get things straightened out with the telephones and the other things that we need. But we'll probably be packing up Monday, and probably if Tommy's be able to come with his men, maybe Tuesday, start moving some of the things to prime time that we really need. But we will not be moving out of there permanently. It'll be just temporary until prime time is able to open up again, and we'll be able to start opening our exercise and Tai Chi and yoga classes up at Lincoln Village. But there again, it's a matter of time. And I think that's about it.
Thank you, Alice. Chief McDonald, do you have anything you want to say? Are you here, Chief? I see Todd.
I am. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now, Chairman?
Yeah, Chief McDonald, yeah.
Yeah. A couple of things. Police department's been busy here and there. A lot of domestics we're getting now be due to the fact that people are staying home and they're probably sick of each other. That's probably that. But we're getting domestics. We're serving a lot of 209As, restraining orders. That's coming up a lot too. Still trying to monitor traffic on the streets that we have problems with, and it's throughout the town. I know that, but we're doing the best we can. Back on May 26th, I sent an email out to the staff here on do's and don'ts, what we should do, still do what we're supposed to do, and not do certain things. So they got a list of things that the guys have and what we're supposed to do. As far as Todd made a comment about people throwing trash and stuff on the side of the road, I heard him say that. And just to let you know, last week, two gentlemen from town here were dumping tires on Brook Street. and they were doing it for a couple of weeks, and we caught them. There's like 35,
Good.
40 tires that they dumped. They
Good,
dumped on the side of Brook Street. They dumped them in the pits area where you go into the pits, the old pits, and we got the guys got the 2 guys. So what we're gonna do with them, what they got to do is they got to come back and pick all 30, 35, 40 tires that they dumped. We spoke to them, told them that they got to pick those tires back up. So now what we're doing is we're telling them to pick the tires up. He's got to find a place where he has to get rid of them, and we want to see receipts.
Good.
And if that doesn't happen, we're gonna the guys will be charging them.
But right now, we're doing curbside pickup for $5 for each tire. So if he wants to come down.
That's it. Send it to the transfer station.
But yeah, no, that's what that happened there. So you know how the people that they like to dump things on Brook Street. That's a huge area up there where they dump a lot of stuff. So they got the 2 guys. So that was good.
Yeah, a couple of years ago on Earth Day, I picked up the trash on part of Brook Street, and I picked up, I remember the number, 135 empty nips. I found some water bottles. They had some water in it, but all the nips were empty. Funny how that worked out.
Yeah.
Thank
Other
you,
than
Chief.
that, we're still hanging in there and doing the best we can.
Thank you. Todd, you had your hand up. Did you want to speak?
Yeah, we were wondering about on prime time moving the 3 offices over there. That one office they have is kind of small, probably like, I'm gonna say 10 by 16 perhaps.
The capacity would only be for 1 at 25%.
Yeah, so they have to figure that they can set up an office outside of that office. However, they can work out, but 3 people cannot be in that office.
That's why we're moving them over to prime time, because there's plenty of room there for the 3 of them to be in the simultaneous.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Tom Ferry, are you here?
Mr.
Yep.
Chairman,
Mrs. Goulart?
I just had a question for Chief Bob. Bob, other than the Aggie School project, is there much construction or road details scheduled?
You got the one over there, like you said, and I know Tommy is paving roads. He paved Tremont Street, so that was a project that he did. And I believe, you can ask Tom, but I think at the end of the month he's going to be doing, I think Chase Street and Bailey's in that area, I believe. But other than that, we've had, details here and there with National Grid or Verizon. It varies, but that's how it's been.
And we got enough people to cover all the details?
We do. The guys have been covering it. It's been good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Tom Ferry, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Any updates?
Yes, we started our drainage upgrades prior to any type of paving that's going to happen. We'll probably be using details daily in North Dayton, at least 1 a day. Right now, we're working on Prospect Street. From there, we'll move to connect the Summer Street, Chase Street drainage problem to Spring Street. And then we'll move on to the Warner Boulevard, which will be, that'll be an interesting site to work on, that intersection. That we don't expect to be on Warner Boulevard the week after next. So we're trying to get ready to pave Chase Street, Bailey Street, Prospect Street, those 3. And those roads will be milled also this month. And looking at targeting paving probably in July, mid-July. We do have some other drainage upgrades to do ahead of the sidewalk projects that you all know about, the Pearl Street, Center Street, and Somerset Ave. So we're gonna be quite busy the next 4 to 6 weeks, straight out. Still sweeping the roads while we can. I need to pull that guy off once in a while for the drainage stuff, start mowing the side of the roads. Other than that, we're running around doing nothing.
Thank you, Tom. Sue, are you here? Sue?
I'm here.
Any updates for us?
Just tomorrow, myself, Todd, and the highway department will be meeting at the school to set up, I think, which is going to be the new normal for elections for the rest of this year. I think we're in good shape. Todd reviewed everything. I thank him and Tommy always for their help. I think it's just going to work out great. I think it's going to be fine. I really think it's going to be fine. And then, we'll get through that and then look forward to town meeting. I think we're in good shape. A good amount of early voting ballots, a lot more than what I thought, considering people really didn't start sending in applications like really May, end of April, May. So a lot of legislature out there right now in the state. They're looking at a bunch of different things. Early voting 2 weeks in a row for the September election, November election. I have no idea what that's going to do to my budget. The auditor, state auditor, has spoke about funding, and it's an unmandated, just funding these early voting days. But of course, you never get all the money that you end up spending. So that's in the works. So we're just sitting back every day. There's different memos out there on that legislature. I did talk to Pat yesterday, Pat's office, because one of the mandates, right? One of the things they want to do is 14 straight days of early voting. When I say early voting, in-house early voting for the November election. So that would be like 14 days, Saturdays and Sundays. I think that's really going to be an issue. When we did it 3 years ago, Saturday was an option. We did really well. With the 4 days a week, opening late 2 nights a week, it went really well. But this thing going, 14 days straight, I really don't know how the town clerk's going to be able to do that. I really don't. I mean, maybe in big cities the town clerks don't do the elections. They have the registrars do it. I just don't know how it's all going to come together. As I hear things or I'm informed of things, I will most definitely keep Mallory and the board updated.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I piggyback?
Mary has. Yep, Mallory.
Sorry,
Mallory?
before we move on from elections, Sue Medeiros was actually my big cheese for this past month. We got away from doing that, but I announced it in my newsletters. And I just want to make the statement that Sue was able to transform her election into a safe environment in a COVID crisis environment with partitions, gloves, sanitizer, wipes, plans to clean every booth. So anybody, it is perfectly safe to come out and exercise your right to vote. And I just wanted to recognize Sue and her staff and actually some other people that are helping, assisting. They're in other departments, but they're helping us with our extra staff needs to pull off this election. So thank you very much, Sue. And I wanted you to know that we all recognize all the little extras that went in to it.
Oh, thank you. I love what I do. Say it all the time. I love what I do.
Congratulations, Sue.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Mary Hathaway, are you here?
You're muted, Mary.
Mary, any?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
I just
Any
wanted to
update?
say that I believe that the homeowners really appreciated the board moving the real estate taxes to June 1st. Most people have paid, that usually pay on time. All the tax services have come in. But I think people calling really appreciated that move. Also, it's nice to have the employees back in the office. I feel like we're getting up to date on a lot of things that have, fallen behind. But other than that, we're just moving along, trucking.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Don Hershey, are you still here? Don, are you here?
I don't see him.
Okay. Is there anybody else that I'm missing? I'm sure I am.
Yeah, you missed James.
Okay.
Hey, Jim.
Hi, everyone. How are you?
Hey, Jim.
Everyone well?
Hi, Jim.
How you doing?
Hi. Good. Very well.
Aren't you on vacay?
So, I was, but I came back. I missed all you guys. I couldn't stay away any longer. So,
well, you need that vacation.
Thank you. Everyone does. I hope everyone enjoys whatever time they can get off. It's well deserved. So, this was a great discussion. I commend everyone for their input today. The only thing I'll add because I know there's some question about revenues and how the economy's doing. I think we're going to finish out this fiscal year with the second highest revenues we've had since I've been here, which goes back 10 years. So that's certainly a sign that things are doing well. Permitting counts are up. I may end up the year with the second highest permit count as well. I want to tell everyone at home who decide to do home projects that I appreciate the respect you give in my office by getting your permits and not requiring us to chase you down. Thank you. That said, I want to thank everyone for their support with online permitting. It has been an overwhelming success. The only hang up right now is the implementation of credit cards, and town administrator and I spoke yesterday. We're going to move forward with that implementation because the contractors seem apprehensive to do online permitting unless they can pay at the same time. So I'm going to work tirelessly on that over the next week to get that up and running. Mary, I'll be in touch with you starting next week. So, no, thanks everyone for all the hard work, and I'm glad to be a part of the team.
Thank you, Jim. Can I ask you a quick question about the online permitting?
Sure.
Are you able, and I know it was just implemented, so I'm not talking about right now, but in the future, you had said previously that permitting was up. Will you be able to have any insight on how much of the permitting is being done online? Just like a rough,
Yes.
so you have an idea.
Yes.
I would suspect it would be popular because who would choose to go in person to the office if you could do it online?
So when I did my initial plan back 4 years ago, I anticipated that we would see a 65 to 70% use of the online tool. Right now, Nancy and I we guesstimate just on a real preliminary basis that it's moved to about 30 to 35%, and it's only just been rolled out. So if you add the contractors in, I think we may equate to my original your projections, or maybe even surpass that. So I think that's excellent.
That's awesome. And how's Nancy liking it?
She loves it. She loves it.
Perfect.
We've been yearning for this day for a long time. There is some interaction that she still has with the homeowners just because of the lack of familiarity with the building permit application, but it's all quickly resolved through a phone call or email, so it's working out well.
Awesome. Good work. And please let Nancy
Yep,
know
thank you.
good work as well.
To interact with when there's no public here, so.
I just want to take a quick minute. I can't do this alone. I've surrounded myself with very competent people with the support of the selectman and the town administrator. And it truly takes all of us to make this happen. So I want to thank them publicly for that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
I agree. Thank you, Jim.
Is there anybody else who hasn't spoken?
Yeah, Selectman Pacheco, I'd love to just address the ZBA briefly. Our next Strawberry Fields public hearing is June 9th at 7 p.m. We're still taking department comments. I'm happy to get physical copies of the most recent plans for anyone who would like it. The most recent plans are dated April 17th. They really, not many changes between January and April besides a few minor edits, but if you would like the most recent copies of plans, let me know and I can get those to you. They're also available online on this ZBA webpage under additional links. And then, we're sort of just going through the conditions as well. And, I know we've got a couple items from Stormwater that they're going to be writing us a letter, and we're still sort of taking department comments on that. I wanted to also note our regular meeting for June 24th. Actually, before I get to that, for the June 9th public hearing, Carrie Easter Day is going to be off that day, so we are looking for assistance with public hearing input. So if anyone, I sent an email out to the clerical union membership earlier in the week. I haven't received anything back on that. So if there is anyone who could potentially help out with the ZBA public hearing for 3 hours on June 9th from 7 to 10 p.m. probably, let me know, or the town administrator. Moving on to the ZBA.
John, just before you move on, say a little bit about what that entails, that it's moderating comments and.
Sure. So it's basically sitting by the phone and having my email up and just monitoring it for anyone who sends an email in of public input during the public hearing process and answering the phone, conveying any voicemails that are related to public input and just basically putting that in the chat of the Zoom call as it's happening. We really have not had a whole lot of public input during this process during COVID, but it doesn't mean we can't not have public input, at least as an option. So it's a relatively straightforward job, but we are looking for someone to help out in that role and trying to figure that out, hopefully today or Monday. Just moving on to June 24th, we're still sort of figuring out our public hearing for that. Mr. Rhines mentioned that, he thinks it went pretty well. I wanted to just ask Mr. Pyers, Tom, are you on the call? Did you feel like the public hearing yesterday with the planning board went well? Is there anything that the ZBA should be wary of? Mr. Rhines is open to you as well.
He's on it. The only problem, I called in, plus I had video on. In the beginning, we had a terrible echo. And I think they moved I don't know, Tim, you can answer, but I think they moved the equipment closer to the speakers. And that reduced the echo. But after about 15 minutes, we finally got it pretty much squared away. It was still a little difficult, but it did. I was able to understand it. So you'd have to look out for that situation because of the acoustics of the building.
Okay. All right. Madam Administrator, I'll reach out to you afterwards and we can settle on what we want to do on the 24th. But that's all I've got for the ZBA.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Mr.
Is there
Chairman?
anybody else? Yes, Mr. Goulart.
Chairman.
Just
Go ahead, Mr. Goulart.
to follow up with what Jonathan just said. Excuse me. The Stormwater Committee sent a draft letter to the developer and his attorney and his son-in-law yesterday. And that letter contains what we believe, the Stormwater Committee believes, is the consensus that was reached at the live Stormwater Committee meeting we had on May the 20th. In that letter, there are 12 or 13 items listed that the developer wants the ZBA to waive. And our proposal is that the Stormwater Committee will agree to withdraw its request to deny everything as long as the developer agrees that the decisions and the processes and everything else that will be followed will be based on order of conditions from the Concom or superseding order of conditions from Mass DEP. So I asked that we get a response by Friday so that I can get this to Mr. Gray and so he can get it to his committee. So I'm hoping this is going to be a positive step based on the discussion. The other thing I will say last night, thank you, Jim and Todd, for coming up with that permit fee that was contained in that letter. So I was last night. Tom Ferry and I were there, excuse me, only for the purpose of answering any questions relative to Miller's Lane. We were prepared to step outside if people came to speak on other issues, but we never exceeded the number of people in the room. So I thought that meeting went very, very well.
Thank you, Mrs. Goulart. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, Tim Ryan from the Planning Board, sir.
Yes, Tim.
Mrs. Easterday had to leave. She had some things to do, so I'm going to speak on behalf of the board, if I may, Mr. Chairman. We met last night at the Old Town Hall and had a public hearing, not only for the Route 44 Business District, but we also covered the kennel bylaw and also the Miller's Lane acceptance. All three of those items are on the warrant as warrant articles to be presented at town meeting. I thought that the Zoom meeting went very well last night. We had a few glitches in the beginning, and it worked out very well. And I would like to thank our office manager for her due diligence in performing her duties. So our board is notified of everything that's taking place. If we have anyone coming in with any applications, et cetera. And also Mrs. Easterday also sends us out on Fridays a list of her things that she's done, her duties for the week. So we appreciate that. So great work, Mrs. Easterday. With that being said, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to move on to my CPC hat, if I may.
You may.
CPC, we have our warrant articles have been submitted to the Board of Selectmen, and they are on the warrant. And the first is the standard budget items for the CPC. And second, this year, the only project we're presenting to town meeting will be the Lincoln Village electrical panel project. So that'll be our only project at town meeting for this year. Now, I'd like to move on. Let me just say this before I leave the CPC. Mr. Laviolette has been receiving some information down from the Department of Revenue in regards to possible CPC receipts for this year. Right now, they're estimating a 11.2% amount of monies that would be forwarded to the cities and towns. And again, it's all based on what's happening with the COVID and what type of receipts are going to come in from the Registry of Deeds. Those numbers may change, and Mr. Laviolette has been forwarded that information off from the DOR. And Chris, thank you for sending out all the information for Park and Rec's budgets and also for the CPC. We appreciate that, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to move on to my Park and Rec hat, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
You may.
Park and Rec has been in discussions with the local Board of Health, our town administrator, about phase 2 reopening of playgrounds and parks in town. Now, I did receive some guidance this morning, late last evening. I know the town administrator works late. In regards to phase 2, the parameters in phase 2, and what can and cannot be done behind the town hall field. You will have the capability of having a team show up to practice, but there are no scrimmages, no physical games of anything of the sort. You can have spectators, but they must wear a mask and they must social distance. Coaches must also wear a mask, must social distance, and that equipment must be cleaned after every use when they're done with practice. Now, I would just like to speak on behalf of the July 19th proposed graduation ceremony behind Town Hall. The agricultural school receives paperwork from Park and Rec in regards to use of fields. So I will reach out again to Mr. Braga and the parties over at the agricultural school just to see if they can just update their paperwork, send it back into us with the date. Madam Administrator?
They did. He sent it yesterday, which is why it's not dispersed yet, but I have it.
Great, thank you. If you could be kind enough to put that in my mailbox or send me a PDF, that would be great.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're working with the Board of Health in conjunction. I've spoken with Todd and the chairman, Mr. Pyers, extensively on what the guidelines will be for opening of phase 2 for parks and playgrounds, and I think it's going pretty well. Mr. Ferry, are you still there? Tom, I know that you're going to be paving Chase Street, and the Park and Rec has some monies encumbered to pave a tennis court in North Dayton. So I'd like to work in conjunction with you to set a date to when we could possibly get that playground basketball court paved.
No, that's not possible to set a date. It will get paved when the paving crew is there, like I explained.
Okay, that's what I thought you had mentioned. I just wanted to let the Board of Selectmen know our intentions, and thank you, Mr. Ferry. With that being said, Mr. Chairman, if I would entertain any questions myself at this time, if anyone has any.
Does anybody have any questions? Nope.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's nice to see everyone. I've seen a few of you in person. You know, we're changing a little bit, but I'm glad to see that everyone's still safe. And I enjoy working with the people I work with in the town of Dayton. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ryan. Is there anybody else? Anything else that has to be brought to our attention? If not, because this is also a Board of Selectmen's meeting, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? I'll step down and second that motion.
Nancy, you're muted. You're on mute, Nancy.
Hold on, I'll unmute her. 1 second.
You tried to second. We needed our.
Sorry.
Yeah, I seconded it. I'm sorry, didn't know I was on mute.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Abstentions? The ayes have it. Thank everybody. Be safe. Be careful.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank you.
Just so you know, during the
Mallory?
hour-long department head meeting.
I missed the conversation you and Brett were having earlier. Can you guys stay on the meeting for a little bit?
Wait, hold on. We just,
Hold on.
we
We're
have to
still
stop
recording.
live streaming and stop recording. Just a second.
Sure.
Todd, I didn't